Hi everyone. Today we are going to learn about cleansing. So how to perform cleansing in IBP? Let's consider one product which is having some sales history. Say actuals quantity, and we have the product as a cleansed key figure. Say suppose test 1K key figure, and what we want to do is to cleanse this data. So what cleansing means is that it will calculate um, if there is any outlier. So when we are running this cleansing job, it will calculate the average from February to March 2024. So there is a variance methodology through which I'm explaining now. And then it will also calculate the standard deviation from within that period of the data within that period. And what will it do is if we select the multiplier as 1.5, so what will it do is it will calculate the upper control limit as the multiplier times the standard deviation. Similarly, it will calculate the lower control limit as the mean minus 1.5 times the standard deviation. So this is the upper control limit. This is the lower control limit. This is the mean, and this is the standard deviation, right? So what happens is that if any data point within this time period lies beyond this two control limits, then it is identified as an outlier. So for example, we don't see any data point here in this time frame which can be identified as an outlier. Let's say that there is one data point which is very high, right? So on the change of this, the UCL became 379, LCL became 53. So this is an outlier. So this will IBP will mark it as an outlier. And so this is a outlier detection methodology. And suppose there is another data within this time frame, and the upper control limit becomes 414. So this is not an outlier. Say 450. So yeah, so this becomes an outlier. Yeah. Right. So this is outlier detection. So we detected which are the data points that are outliers. Now the other thing that becomes is how do we replace the outliers with? So that is outlier substitution methods. So there can be multiple substitution methods. One is that they do nothing, so let it be as it is, or can replace them with the mean. So what will happen is that if I correct my outliers, then after the correction, it will replace that with a mean. So this is how it will look after the outlier substitution method. And so these are the substituted value. So we have taken an example of the substitution by the mean. It may happen that we want to substitute it by the upper control limit or lower control limit. So since this is on the upper control limit side, like above the mean, because mean is 243. So these are on the higher side of the mean. So what will happen is we may choose to replace these values with the tolerance level, which is the upper control limit. So with the tolerance level option, this will be replaced with the upper control limit values. Similarly, if there was any data point which was on the lower side of the mean, then it would have been replaced by the lower control limit value. So suppose, let's see if we get something like that. So we have one value which is on the lower than the mean. So mean is something, and then this value is on the lower side. So what will happen? It is outside of the. So this is also now an outlier, and it is outside of the control limits because the lower control limit is 26. So and then let's visualize this. So we have this, and we have the mean, which is typically depicted by mu, and then we have the control limits. Then this is the UCL, and this is the LCL. This is the UCL, and then this is the LCL. Right. So if any data point lies within these limits, so these are all not outliers. But if any data point lies outside of these control limits, let's say that it is lying here, and then if I can increase the size. So these data points lies somewhere here or here, which is below the mean, right? So then these will be identified as an outlier and need to be substituted. So since this point is below the lower control limit, so if we again go, so this is the LCL, and then which is 26 and 26, and this point is 21. So the lower control limit, this point will be replaced by the lower control limit value, which is 26. So here it will be 26. Likewise, there is another option within IBP to not consider the outlier values, because what we have seen is that if there are any outliers, then they get, if the mean and standard deviation also get affected by those outlier values. So if for example, this becomes say 700, now you see that the mean increased also by some amount. We don't want that. If that is what we don't want, then what we'll do is we have an option of not considering the outlier values. So what will it do is it will calculate the mean between excluding those outlier values, and similarly it will calculate the standard deviation. So upper control limit and lower control limit also got adjusted by that. So now we see that even if there are very high values, they didn't, the mean did not get too much influenced by those outlier values. So now again, we can see that that we can replace this with the either with the mean. So this will get replaced by the mean, and the lower values, if there are any, will get replaced by the mean. Or if there is, we decide to replace the values with tolerance level, then either it is upper end or the lower end, it will get replaced by the tolerance level. Let's see that example in action. So let's log into our planning area. So we will see the data from, say, March 2024, and we'll see the data. It's okay to have data in the future. We'll look at product ID, we'll see the actuals quantity, and then we'll see this key figure, as well as there might be some other key figure that we have created earlier. Let's see these key figures, and we will see for one product ID. Right? So we see that the history is there. So what we intend to do is to cleanse the data based on the last 12 months of sales history. So let's go to the interface.